policing is about what we do with communities, and the incident we all got involved in on that Sunday afternoon goes to the heart of policing. Is not policing at communities, it's policing with. And I spent nearly 18 months now back in Essex Police, having spent nearly 29 years on the dark side in London. And it didn't come home to me any more than on that Sunday afternoon, where we came together around a really tragic set of circumstances. And you know, there are nurses in this room, there are fire officers, there are police officers, there are people from all different walks of life. And not knowing what was going to happen, people came together to try and help a family that was in need and an individual who ultimately died. And before we go on, today is about celebration and saying thank you to you as members of the community helping out in difficult circumstances. But it is just worth saying to, I know some of you who were there much more quickly than I was, that poor gentleman, he didn't survive the impact. I know some of you went to care for him. No matter what any of us did on that day, he died before the fire took hold. So we always ask ourselves questions, is there anything else that could have been done? I think it's important you all know there is nothing more any of you could have done on that day to help those involved. The nice thing is that Neil and Rebecca, the mum and dad, are now out of hospital. They've gone through a series of operations. They're almost back to as well as they can be. And the two children I know who were sitting around, and I don't think any of us quite understood how serious the nature of their injuries were, but they're both in fine fettle as well, and they're going to be good too, only because of the speed that you all got involved and the calm nature of the way you supported those children on stretchers, talking to them, and of course everything else you did. I want to say thank you. It was mildly, in any sense of what goes on in tragic circumstances, police, nursing, health professionals of fire always tend to try and take some sort of moment from it. And after I pulled up my BMW with its blue lights on to try and help you, some of my officers then started turning up to see me in jeans and a shirt, and they kept walking up to me and saying, right mate, what's going on then? And I said, well, these people are looking after the children over there, and these people are looking after the lady there, and the poor chap in the Corvette is not going, you know, he's now in a ball of flames. And I said, well done mate, slap me on the back, you've done a really good job. And I said, well, the first thing is they've done a really good job, and the second thing is I'm the Chief Constable. At which point these officers suddenly went slightly pale. Oh, I said, let's just help these people and see what we can do for them. And the funny thing was, that happened about 3 times with 3 separate officers. Well done mate, you're doing a really good job. Okay, I'm Chief Constable. Okay, sorry. And the funny thing was, the fire service arrived. The first guy off the back of the fire truck with a massive great hose went running past me in jeans and a shirt and laughed, and he went, that's the Chief Constable. So I'm clearly doing something right for the fire service in this. I'm going to hand over to Mr. Alston. I've got the great privilege of my Deputy Chief Constable in here today. He reads the citations, and we ask you up to stand up in front of me, representing the most senior police officer in the county, Mr. Alston as the Commissioner who holds me to account and represents the communities of Essex, and of course Her Majesty, because what you did as members of the community on that day was truly remarkable.
The first recipient today will be Sophie Astbury.
Hello Sophie, come and stand in front of the Queen. And no, it's all right, turn around, relax.
This is the formal bit, so I'll read the citation. Sir, in April 2014, 7 members of the public and an off-duty police officer stopped at the scene of a serious injury road traffic collision that had just occurred along Essex Regiment Way near Chelmsford. This involved 2 vehicles, both containing people who had become trapped. Together, they attempted to remove the driver trapped in a sports car which had caught fire, and helped to remove and give aid to members of the family trapped in the other car before additional emergency services arrived. Tragically, the driver in the sports car could not be saved and died from his injuries. Sir, today you are commending for their bravery, compassion and public spirit whilst helping those involved in the collision. And first recipient is Sophie Astbury. recipient is Michael Hall. Our next recipient, Sally Taylor, can't be with us today, but her certificate will be collected by Hannah. If I can now ask Marie-Crowther to step forward. I can now ask Myra Whitaker. Our next recipient is Denise Freeman. I can now ask Peter Hine to step forward. And Sgt Paul Storey from the Metropolitan Police.
You noticed I was very polite to you, and the police officer came up, I was rude to him, so he washed up one. We were all looking a bit different that afternoon.
Normally that would be the end of such a ceremony, and it's at this point we divert from what normally happens in circumstances such as today. But after the incident in April, the Police and Crime Commissioner and myself had a conversation, and we agreed that alongside the worthy recipients today, that your involvement, sir, should also be recognised. And that decision has since been reaffirmed for me as colleagues from Essex Police who were there on the day came up to us and said you should be recognised, and officers who weren't there on the day also came forward and said you should be recognised. So at this point I will turn to Mr Alston, and in your capacity, sir, as the Police and Crime Commissioner for Essex, can I today ask you to present a certificate of commendation on behalf of Essex Police to Chief Constable Stephen Kavanagh for his bravery, compassion and selfless commitment to the public whilst helping those involved in the collision.
So here we go. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, you were all going about your work on that, or your visits, or your training, having your own lives on that Sunday afternoon, and you had got those children out of the car. You had got the father out, and of course we didn't know whether the fire from the sports car was going to spread to the Astra. So to be able to, unfortunately, as we know, Rebecca was not well, and you could see how badly injured she was. But getting her over that gear stick and getting her out of the car and just getting it to safety in case it went up, I think we all felt that it's the best we could have done. So you are the ones who thought you were going to spend the afternoon in one way. Some of you went off in ambulances with the children to make sure they were kept safe and well, and to make sure the continuity is there, because the parents got taken in one direction, the children got taken in another, and we didn't know what was going to happen. So seriously, to you who made those sacrifices in the afternoon, and the organisational skills of Paul, who's poor old Paul, he took taking lists of all the witnesses and got an account of what was going on. And when he's got his trousers on, he's very smart, but he's got some big tattoos and some big
Don't tell Mr Horn that.
So he was trying to tell my officers, some of them who got plain clothes, weren't they, with firearms who first turned up. And he kept trying to tell them who all the witnesses were and saying, I've got an account for you. And they kept, yeah, great, mate, go and have a sit down over there. And his muscles and his tattoos. Eventually, he said, I'm giving up, they're not listening to me. And I said, as soon as it settled down, I'll get someone to come over and see you. But, you know, thank you for this. This is very much appreciated. This is a community award because we were all there and we did what we'd want everyone else to do. So thank you very much indeed. We will do photographs outside, and I've just looked down the room, probably never done it before, but to my wife Diane and my son James, you miss out on lots because of this job, so thank you very much indeed. That was a frog in my throat, nothing else.
My name's Sophie Astbury. I'm 21 and I'm a nursing student at Anglia Ruskin University in Chelmsford, just going into my 3rd year.
What do you remember about that day? Where were you on your way to?
I was on my way back home from my part-time job at Premier Inn. I was literally just round the corner from work, and I was just been at a meeting, just minding my own business, and I saw the whole thing, the whole event unravel in front of me.
How many cars behind were you then?
I was the car behind the Astra. I saw the Corvette come and overtake the van and collide. I thought he was going to hit me. And then I later found out that the battery from his car had landed only a metre behind me.
Did you feel initially, heck, I've got to get somewhere, I'm going to overtake these guys?
Not at all. Not at all, not for one moment. My profession, it wouldn't be in me at all. I'm a professional when I'm working in the hospitals, so I just treated it like one of those scenes.
And you jumped out of your car?
Yeah.
What did you do next?
I ran to the gentleman in the Corvette, along with the van driver, and we both tried to get him out, and then I heard the children screaming in the car. So
Which car?
In the Astra. So I told everyone else who was running towards us, including the man who was assisting me, to go and get the children out the car because they were clearly injured and they needed assistance, and I wasn't sure that the man had made it.
At this point, had the other car exploded?
It was on the verge of it. I was right next to it. I had to run away from it as it was going up.
Did you have a little bit of warning that, hello, something's going to explode here?
Yeah, the car started to produce a lot of black smoke, but it got to the point where I could just feel the heat from it as well. So I tried to stay there with him as long as I could to try and pull him out. But I figured we'd already lost one life today. I had more use helping the other car than
So you went
preventing
back
further
to the other
tragedy.
car? You went back to the other car, and what did you do to the occupants?
I took one of the children from the gents who were removing the family, sat her down, calmed her down, tried to speak to her, reassure her. I then called the emergency services for my own peace of mind, really, and then called my boyfriend to tell him what had happened, and then he freaked out a bit, really. But
And you told him I might be some time?
well, he worked at the time he worked at the hotel, so I told him, get out the hotel, I need your car. I just panicked, but
You had presence of mind though to help the children.
absolutely.
Did you adopt one of the children and take them to the hospital?
I didn't. No. I think because I was the youngest at the scene, they were very much aware of this. Because I'm only 21, and they were just aware of like my career. They didn't want to do anything really. I think just to spark me into too much panic. Really. I mean, I was clearly in a lot of shock. So
Because you were the car following the Astra.
I was so close to death. That's the way I look at it. If my boyfriend hadn't called me back to give me my house keys, I may not be here today.
Paul Storey, and I'm a police sergeant from Hackney in the Metropolitan Police.
Tell us about that day. You were off duty, weren't you?
Yes, I was off duty, and I remember as I was approaching the roundabout to turn to go down, there was people moving cars along, and I said, "Oh, what's happening down there?" she said, oh, there's been an accident. I said, are there any police officers down there? She said, no, I don't think so. So I just drove my car straight towards the accident, which is when the car blew up. Then I was just approaching people at the scene just to make sure who was doing what, who were the casualties, who are the members of the public, who's being treated, where are my priorities, and just really you kind of just switch on to your training and your kind of life experiences within the job. And I was just more making sure everyone was all right and made sure that everyone, all the police officers and fire brigade that were coming in, knew exactly who was doing what and where people were. So, but there's a lot of very brave people here today.
Tell me, you were wearing what exactly that marked you out?
I was wearing shorts and t-shirt, and I just finished a training session. So I had what made me stand out was I had Essex boot camp on the back of my t-shirt, and my tattoos were very visible at the time.
What sort of tattoos do you have?
Oh, just I've got 3 stars to represent my children, and I've got the word family on my arm to obviously represent my proud family.
Everybody thought you might have been a bouncer or a thug. Did anyone say, hey, excuse me, who the hell are you?
Yeah, they do. But I mean, in times of chaos, you know, you're used to kind of identifying yourself as a police officer. And
did you have your warrant card? Did you produce it?
Yeah. I was showing my warrant card. I tried to make it visible, but unfortunately, on a shorts and t-shirt, there's not many places to hang your warrant card.
Unless you could strap it to your forehead.
Perhaps that's an idea. There you go. There could be a niche in the market for that.
And what role did you play then?
I basically, as I said, coordinated all the emergency services coming in. I made sure that casualty priority was established, who was doing what qualifications they had, because obviously, depending on what profession people do, are they adequate to be dealing with that? Does someone with more severe injuries need that? Also, emergency services coming in, they need to know what they're coming into. So it was just kind of organising everything, really.
Was it the first time you've been involved in an accident in front of you?
I'd love to say yes, but unfortunately no. And that's, you know, on and off duty. It sounds very blasé, but that's just what we do. You kind of just switch on and your kind of police head kicks on.
And now you've been awarded a Chief Constable's commendation.
Yeah.
You don't do it for that, do you?
Do you know what? I didn't even dream of it. You know, I've been involved in a lot of major events, a lot of public disturbances, but it's literally the highest achievement that a police officer can get. And I'm just over the moon. And it's ironic it took place in Essex, out of your patch. It's ironic it took place out of my patch in Essex with a former Metropolitan Police Officer who is in charge of Essex. So yeah, there's a lot of irony on the day. At the moment, I'm a sergeant based at Hackney, so I just look after response teams, answering 999 calls, and just helping members of the public. But again, do you have to strap a blue light to your helmet for people to know that you're a police officer off duty? It must be so frustrating. Do you know, sometimes it's really hard. Sometimes it's really hard because, you know, we haven't got any kit off duty. We haven't got any protection. We haven't got first aid kits. So it's hard to get involved and kind of do what you would do normally. But you know, you just kind of make the best of whatever you've got available. And as I said, your kind of police head kicks in and you just do the best you can do. Did you ever know the Essex Chief Constable when he was with the Mets? Being a lowly sergeant, I wasn't privileged enough to meet him, but yeah, he was very well respected in the Met. It was a big loss to us. Has he made you an offer that you can't refuse regarding a transfer? He's not, but I'm hoping that maybe we could talk after. Anything else you'd like to say? No, just I'm extremely proud, not only of me, but just the way we all worked together was just, you couldn't have made the situation up, and it was the A-team. Yeah, I was just so privileged to be involved with such heroic members of the public that really did put themselves in danger to try and help others. It really does restore your faith in kind of society and the community, really does.
Yes, Stephen Kavanagh, Chief Constable of Essex Police.
And why are we here today, sir?
We're here today to give commendation certificates to members of the public, off-duty teachers, off-duty nurses and off-duty sergeants who one Sunday afternoon this summer came across a tragic accident on Essex Regiment Way where a sports car collided with an Astra containing a family of 4. And the people around here today have helped rescue that family of 4, tried to rescue the man from the sports car, and genuinely acted in a quite remarkable community-orientated way.
It wasn't all about you and your commendation that you've just received. This was a huge team effort. It seems like the A-team were there for this accident, weren't they?
I think that sometimes the media forget is actually our communities are very, very supportive. They care. You know, we had women who went with the children to hospitals, their afternoons totally taking another direction. We had men standing on the top of sports cars trying to get somebody who was trapped out. And, you know, and even when we thought there was a risk of the fire going from the sports car to the Astra, we managed to make sure that the driver of that car was got out and safely brought to medical attention.
This was a massive show of bravery in the face of an exploding vehicle, an inferno.
The car was an inferno in the end, and it was tragic, and all of us remember the difficult circumstances of that man being trapped in the red sports car. But ultimately we also remember that the 2 children in their car seats and the two parents are now on the road to recovery. And if ever I saw an advert for making sure your child is properly locked into a car and that you think about proper airbags and support, this was it for me.
When you came to be appointed when you were appointed Chief Constable, say 18 months ago, you began and took over the role of handing out commendations, or was it something that you initiated?
We've always given commendations, but I've been very clear I want to give those to members of the public and to officers who've done what I consider to be truly remarkable acts.
Did you ever imagine that you would actually give one to yourself, as it were?
No, and I didn't know that the Commissioner and my deputy had ever made those arrangements until a few days ago, when they told me I had no choice. This isn't about me today, this is about the members of the public who off-duty sacrificed their day to try and do the best for a family in danger.
And how ironic that you've teamed up with a Met officer.
A Met officer who has mutual friends and who was brilliant on the day, who was well organised, and everything good policing's about. And what people forget, the nursing, the teaching, the policing in this country is the best in the world.